Now that we know the basic idea of what a prefix is, how do we use these prefixes? Well, the technique that we use to do it is what's called dimensional analysis. A dimension is a unit that you have a number, like, you have 3.9 feet. The feet is the dimension. So analysis deals with how we deal with it. So in short, what dimensional analysis is just a way for us to convert one unit into another. And in order to do a dimensional analysis, we have to use what's called a conversion factor. And that conversion factor is essentially just a tool that we use to convert from one to another. And what it essentially is just a ratio of two numbers. It compares how many of this to how many of that. For example, for every 1 foot, there's 12 inches. That's a conversion factor. It's a ratio, but it's a conversion factor. Now, the relationship between a foot and an inch is 1 foot to 12 inches, but you could also say it's 12 inches per 1 foot. And when you think about it in your mind, that tells you the same information, but I want you to remember that 1 over 12 and 12 over 1 are not the same numeric value. If you punch that into the calculator, it gives you a different answer, but it tells you the same information. And so that's what I want you to remember. So take a look at this problem. So let's convert 47.9 milligrams to grams. Now, so what we need to know is the relationship, and we need to know which is bigger than the other. So what we need to do is go back to our staircase, and here we're talking about grams and milligrams. So let's find grams and milligrams. So the base unit is going to be grams, and milligrams is going to be the other unit. So here's milli. Now, what's bigger? Well, the unit that's bigger is the one that's higher on the staircase. The base unit is grams. Milligrams is down here. What's higher on the staircase? The grams is bigger. Okay, so the unit that is bigger is what you have one of. You see this one that's right here? That's what you have one of. And then milli is how many is smaller by how many times? 1,000 times smaller. So that means you're going to need 1,000 of the smaller unit to equal one of the big unit. So if we go back to our problem, that means that for every 1,000 milligrams, there's 1 gram. I could have also written it for every 1 gram, there's 1,000 milligrams. It tells you the same information when you think about it. So the question is, which one of these two do we need? 1,000 milligrams over a gram or 1 gram over 1,000 milligrams? Which one do we use? So how I always like to think about it is which one of these two individual ratios, the milligram over gram or gram over milligram, which one will give you the unit that will lead you to the answer that you want? Which one will give you the unit that you want? Well, how I always like to teach my students to do it is look at these two. Which of the two will give me the unit that I want? Well, notice that the one on the right has the grams on the top. And so a little sort of phrase I always teach the students is that whatever you want is what goes on top. When you have one of these simple conversions, what you want goes on top. Which one of them has the unit that we want on top? This one on the right. So that's what we use inside here. I like to use parentheses. You could just put an X for times, whichever, but I like to use the parentheses. Personally, you don't have to. But what it's saying is that you take 47.9 milligrams. You multiply that by the fraction of 1 gram over 1,000 milligrams. Now, when you do that, like you do in math, anything in the numerator that has the same thing in the denominator, you can cancel those babies out. So notice that milligrams cancel. It leaves me with grams up on top. 47.9 times 1 divided by 1,000 equals 0.0479. Now, how many significant figures are there in 47.9? 1, 2, 3. Our answer has to be to the same number of significant figures. So it's not significant, 4, 7, 9. 3 significant figures. That's what we need. So let's give some problems a shot here. Let's do another one. Let's give it a shot. So 0.107 liters, convert that to milliliters. You can pause it and you can give yourself a chance to work it out, and we'll work it together.